So if you ever hear sneezing, this is my Stanny Monk. I call him Monk. I'm not sure how that came about, but he's an exotic short hair. He was my first little boy, and I love him so much, but as you can see, he's a flat-faced cat, and he does like to sneeze a lot. So if you hear sneezing in this video, it's my little munchkin. Hey guys, what's going on? If you're new here, welcome. My name is BrittanyNichole. I have hooded eyes and I tend to do a lot of hooded eyeshadow tutorials on my channel that are simple, informative, and achievable no matter what level makeup you're at. I also do a lot of beauty reviews and beauty related videos in general, like this one today. We are talking all about how I tint my eyebrows and how I've gotten my eyebrows to this stage. 5 years ago, my eyebrows did not look like that. I was waxing and plucking way too much. Now I get my eyebrows threaded, and that's when I discovered tinting eyebrows. I got it done at the place I get my eyebrows threaded a couple times. I wasn't extremely happy with it, but I did like that my eyebrows were darker. The way they filled it in was just way thicker than what I wanted. I kind of looked like I had block eyebrows, so I decided to go on Amazon, purchase my own tinting kit, and I've been doing that ever since. I think it's been about 5 years or something like that. So it's been a journey to get my eyebrows where they are. I know they're not like the best brows in the world, but they work for me, and by tinting them, I don't have to put as much work into filling them in when I'm doing my makeup. So I'm gonna show you both steps. I'm gonna show you how I dye these brows, and I'm gonna show you how I fill them in and what products I use. So I got my eyebrows threaded, not yesterday, the day before. If you do get your eyebrows threaded or waxed, you wanna wait a day or two before you go ahead and dye or tint your eyebrows, because the dye will get into your eyebrows and it will burn so bad. So be sure to give it at least 24 hours before you go in with any kind of dyeing product. So I'll put a picture up since I don't have the container of the dye I use. I have an old video on my channel and I've been using this, like I said, for 4 or 5 years. So my routine hasn't changed that much if you saw that video, but I do style them a little bit different. So I use the Godfrey Professional Tint Kit. I use the color dark brown, which you might think is crazy, but I really like a darker brow with blonde hair. I like the look, but you do whatever works for you. They have a medium brown and I'm pretty sure they have a light brown. For some reason, the dark brown isn't on Prime and it's a little more expensive, so I don't know if they do that because it's like the most popular one, but I can see the medium brown is $15.50 on Amazon Prime. The dark brown is $18.47. It's free delivery, but not on Prime for some reason. Oh, they do have a dark brown actually on Prime, but it's only 4 applications. I get the one with 20, and this lasts me like all year. So as you could see, it comes with these little, what look like pills, and you break it open and you put it into a little container. I use this little ceramic container, and this is only used for my brows. It also comes with a little developer. This is like way too much for all these applications. I have like 5 of these that I have never used up because they send them both together. I wish they would just sell these and it would be cheaper, but you know, whatever. It also comes with a little brush that I always throw away. I don't like it. It's synthetic and it's too big. The best brush I found for tinting and styling my eyebrows, and it has been like a 10-year journey, is the Anastasia number 12 brush. It's dual-ended, and I just want to show you the tip of the brush. It is the thinnest and best brush tip by far I have ever used, and I absolutely love it. I lost one of these somehow a couple months ago and I had to go repurchase it because I love it that much. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you want to do is either wash your face, and do this right after you wash your face before you apply any products, or go ahead and take some kind of toner and just apply that to your eyebrows, which is what I'm going to do because I already put my skincare on. This is the CeraVe Hydrating Micellar Water, which will burn the heck out of your eyeballs if you get this in your eyeballs. So steer clear. Even though it says it's eye safe, it definitely isn't. It hurts so bad. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that on a Shu Uemura, I think that's how you say it, cotton pad, and just rub around my brows to make sure I don't have any kind of product in there, because that will stop the dye from grabbing to your eyebrows, which obviously defeats the purpose. And I'm gonna go ahead and break one of the little pill thingies with dye in it into my little ceramic cup. And I'm pretty sure it says to use a teaspoon of developer, but like I said, I've been doing this for so long, I just kind of eyeball it. But obviously when you first do this, you'll want to kind of go by the direction. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and mix it up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. I just mix it up, by the way, with the brush, and then I wipe the brush off on my paper towel before going in. So this takes like 30 seconds. I know some people like to use like mustache and beard dye to do this, which will totally work as well. I've never done that or used that. This Godfrey stuff can also be used to kind of tint your grays as well. So it's a nice dual purpose kind of product. So I just wiped any of the excess off on the brush, and then I like to go ahead and brush everything upwards, and let me show you what this looks like. So there is a lot of product in there, way more than you would use on one eyebrow application. I've always thought about kind of just using half of one of the pills, but then I don't know what I would do with the other half, so I don't, but it is a lot of product, which is kind of annoying because you're wasting, but that's okay. So then what I'm gonna do is just brush them up once again because my brows fall like right away. I'm gonna grab a closer mirror here. So what I like to do is start right about here and work it all the way into the end, and then when I have very minimal product, I kind of feather in the front. I like it to be lighter, kind of like a natural brow in the, you know, part towards the nose, and then darker as it goes outward, but you can do whatever works for you. Now, like I said, when I got it done at the place I get threaded, they really go heavy up here, and then they also tend, and this has happened a number of times, at least at the different places I've gone in Chicago, they'll kind of fill in above to make everything look thicker, and it just doesn't look right on my skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly what I do. I kind of brush up constantly throughout, and yeah, you can just kind of follow along. So you want to make sure as you're doing this, sorry, my upstairs neighbor is vacuuming if you can hear that. You want to make sure you're pressing hard enough that you're dyeing the actual skin under the brow, not just the brow hairs. I'm gonna go ahead and play some music as I do this because they're really going ham with the vacuum up there, so. And then I just brush through to make sure everything looks good. I did kind of go towards the center earlier than applying back here. I just, my hand is kind of doing the work for me, so. And I like to follow my natural brow. Like I said, I don't really like to go outside the lines to make everything look thicker. It just looks kind of not so great on me, so I'll really just stop where my natural brow stops. And I am really just barely dipping into the product, I should mention that. So I have very minimal product on my brush. You only need a tiny bit, so I'll dip into it and then kind of tap off the excess in the little ceramic cup so you don't go in too heavy. Just like regular makeup, it's way easier to just go little by little than take away. So now that I have like nothing on there, I'm just feathering upwards right here because we don't want that to be too harsh. I kind of do make a line down here and then just feather upwards. So you get a little dye, but not too much. Yep, so that looks pretty good for me. If you did make any mistakes, you could just go in with a little Q-tip and kind of, you know, like work around. I did a fairly good job with that one, so I don't think I need to clean anything up. Sometimes I tend to make mistakes right around here where the curve is. I always have a hard time getting any product right there. I cut my eyebrow off with scissors. I don't know what kind of kid does this, but I had scissors up to my face like this while I was on the computer. I remember this so vividly, and I went and I chomped a little bit of my brow off right there, and it never really grew back the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. I'll fast forward through that so you guys can see it, and then I will tell you what we do next. So I always have a little bit more of a hard time with this brow because it's a little more sparse. Even though it's a little thicker, it's a little more sparse than the other brow. So this one always tends to take a little more time, and you could see it's just, it doesn't grab the color as much, like, because this is actually grabbing onto more hair than this side, but that's okay. I mean, I know how to kind of style them and fill them in so they look a little bit better, but just keep in mind your brows, as always, the old saying, your brows are sisters, not twins, so you just gotta kind of work it. And just make sure that you don't let it sit too long if you do have to clean up, because the longer you let it sit, the quicker it's gonna dye your brows. All right, I'm gonna stop fiddling with this one. I think that's as good as we're gonna get there. So the directions, I look so funky, I know. The directions on the Godfrey package say to leave this on, like, you basically leave it on like for like 2 minutes if you want lighter, 4 minutes if you want darker. I tend to just leave this on as long as I want. So I'll leave it on for like 15 minutes. Sometimes I'm pretty sure the developer just kind of stops developing. That's what I've noticed, at least. Like if I leave it on for 15, it's no different than if I leave it on for like 5 to 6 minutes or something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave this on for, let's see, it's 11:22 right now. I'll probably leave this on until like 11:30, and then I will show you how I wash them off. So I will be right back. All right, you guys, so it's 11:30 now, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the product off. So obviously this side was on longer than this side, but like I said, it really doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure it stops developing, and you can see how much darker they've gotten as they sit there. Now, if you wanted, let's say to take off a little bit on the inside before you took out on like the outer portion, you could always go in with that micellar water, toner, water, whatever, even soap, whatever you have, take that on like a Q-tip and just kind of work that off. But I'm gonna go ahead and take everything off now. So again, another Shoot Uemura cotton pad, taking that micellar water. I'm gonna use this to just take the product off. You could just wash your face like normal if you wanted to. I'm just gonna do circular motions and kind of rub gently. I'm being very, very gentle. Now it is gonna be a little bit red and disturbed because I have sensitive skin, but I'm not pushing hard. So you just wanna remove the product however you feel fit. And then I'll take like a washcloth. I just have obviously a paper towel in front of me and run over, make sure I've got all the dye off. All right, so all of the dye is off, and you could see how much darker they look. And like I said, this just makes styling your eyebrows so much easier. I try to do this every 2-3 weeks. That's about the time it lasts on me. I wash my face every morning and night. This will fade a little bit. I did go a little heavy here, and I could see I like missed a little bit here, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me either way. This makes me feel more confident when I have no eyebrows on and I walk out the door. It just kind of makes me feel a little more put together. And like I said, I just follow my natural brows. I don't go in and like build up. I just think it looks not great since I dye them so dark. So now I want to show you how I style them at this point and how easy it is. So I've gone through phases where I've been like obsessed with brow pencils. I've gone through phases where I've been obsessed with pomades, but I always resort back, and this is what I've been using for the past like year and a half, to a brow powder. It just, I think, looks a lot more natural, and since I do dye my brows, I can get away with just going in with a little bit of powder. My absolute favorite is the Anastasia Brow Duo, the powder in medium brown. This looks so good. It matches the dye that I dye my brows perfectly, but it also works when I don't have any dye in my brows at all. So again, I just kind of brush my brows up, and here's what I do first. I grab a brow gel. So I like to start with the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Boost and Set. This is just the clear. It has a really nice little fine tip. I like this stuff a lot. And I first go in with this and I set the brows up. Now, I use a different brow set to totally set the eyes because I find this is a little more forgiving. So to set my brows, I use the 24-hour brow set from Benefit, and that is like glue for my eyebrows. It keeps them up all day long, whereas this gives it a little more freedom to kind of move. So I like to start with this because I can still go in and play with them, and they're still kind of like pliable. I think that's the word I want to use after I go in with my powder. So I like to start with that. You could even use like soap to start. I just like to give myself kind of an outline, and I'll wait for that to dry down a little bit before I go in with the powder. Now, like I said, I like a very bushy brow. If you've been with me for a while, I like feathery, pushed up brows. If you didn't, you don't have to do this. You could just kind of brush them, you know, out to the side. But I'm gonna go ahead and start with the lighter color in the Anastasia little brow powder. I can't do this and look at the camera at the same time. So I start with the lighter and I work that in more towards the nose, like the front of the brow, and then I get darker as I go out, just like I did with the dye. So I'll show you exactly what I do. I start to outline under first, and I'm going to be dipping in over and over because, again, start with just a little product and then go in heavier rather than the other way. And I don't love a perfectly sculpted brow. I like my brows to look a little more natural, so I'm not going for the most sculpted thing in the world, but I do like a fairly straight line under the brows. And then I dip into both colors, and then I'll start again about a third of the way in. I'll just start to feather up from basically where I applied that line. Then as I get towards the outer corner and arch, I'll just go in with the darker. I'm using a very light hand with this. And then with really nothing left on the brush, I'll feather upwards a little more in the front. And then sometimes I'll dip into the lighter and just work that right there. And then I brush it up just to see if there's any sparse areas. So there is right there. So again, in the lighter powder, here we go. So you can see the difference there. It just looks a lot more full, but it still looks fairly natural. It's not like an Instagram brow or anything like that. So then at this part, I'll take my 24-hour brow set from Benefit, and then this even adds a little more of a natural look to it because it kind of takes a little of the powder away and separates. So I push up again to get that really feathery look. Just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and even these out real quick, and I'll meet you right back here. Real quick, up close, I just want to show you the difference again though. So finished brow, unfinished brow, finished brow, unfinished brow. All right, you guys, and this is the completed brows. Now, obviously, this looks pretty harsh because I have no other makeup on, but like I said, I would typically just go in and do this if I was doing like a full face of makeup. If I had no makeup on, I would really just set them up with the brow gel, and having that tint just makes me feel a little more put together when I walk out the door. And like I said, I just really like the look of darker brows with lighter hair. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down below. I try to respond to each and every one of you guys. Otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps me a lot. If you're interested in seeing any more videos from me, I post every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central and every Sunday at 12 noon. Please subscribe. It means the absolute world to me. I'll leave my Instagram down below if you're interested in following me on there. I tend to post and let you guys know when I've posted a new video on there as well. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.